We are live this morning with John Duffin from Duffin Media and Optimize Your Communications. Hi, it's Maria Quattrone, and I'm here with John Duffin this morning. Welcome, John. Can't wait to talk with you.
Here. Thank you. Didn't mean to talk over you. How are you?
I'm fantastic this morning. And this morning we're going to dive right in. We got about 30 minutes or so, 30 minutes. And we're going to dive right in, John, and let's talk about how people can optimize their communications through their voice.
Absolutely. So first off, thanks for having me. This is a great platform. And for me, what I keep realizing with a background of over 25 years in broadcast ad sales and several years now using and leveraging my voice, what I've come to realize is that situational improvement in regards to the way that you use your voice or the way that you command attention is critical. What I wanted to do is when I see people speak, whether it's, look, you're in real estate, whether it's asking for a listing, whether it's the hot calls that we just did a week ago where I observed some, we're always in a situation where the other person doesn't know your background, doesn't know your history, doesn't know the day that you're having. And what I've realized is these opportunities, these blocks where you get this chance to do something, you're not going to get a second chance. So for me, the whole deal is how do you optimize each situation you're in so that you're able to command attention, you're able to engage, and you're able to, like I said, my brand is optimizing your communications by leveraging your voice. It's using those techniques to make somebody comfortable with you so that you're able to improve your results.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's ideal. So, John, what are some things that people can use today that they can take from our brief discussion this morning and put to work right away?
Well, first off, the hacks, the techniques, tips, whatever you want to call them, none of them are overly complicated, and none of them replace preparation. None of them replace expertise. This is a given that you're doing all of that. This is when you're in the situation. I'll give you an example. This takes approximately 16 seconds. So I'm guessing that people have 16 seconds, and it is before your next phone call, before your next appointment, before your next speaking engagement. It's a breathing hack, which I've combined with something else. So it's the Navy SEALs boxed breathing technique that Navy SEALs actually use to get out of panic situations.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. All right, great.
Let's do it right now, John.
Right, done. So
tell me what to do.
You're going to inhale for 4 seconds. 4. And then you're going to hold for 4. And then you're going to exhale for 4. And then you're going to hold again for 4. What does it do? It brings you into focus. It relaxes your voice. It relaxes you. And it clears your head just enough that you're able to have that next conversation with a little less distraction or baggage that you've been carrying. And then I'm going to add a second tip that you can leverage right at the same time. So it takes no extra time, but I call it adding your body of evidence. What is the body of evidence? Everybody has done something good in their life, and it's not a competition. Like for me, I'll give an example. Non-business related. I remember when I ran my first marathon. Oh, and trust me, I'm not going to go into a long marathon story. Nobody wants to hear it, including the runners. But I remember thinking, how am I going to go the 26 miles? And when I crossed the finish line in Berlin, Germany, I could still remember that feeling. So what I do is just take the feeling, right, of, oh, I can't believe I actually did this. And in that 16 seconds, I'm thinking of that. I'm actually thinking of something that is legit positive that I've done. And folks, when you are doing this, everybody has something they've done. When you add those two together, that's where the science comes in. This is your brain activating with that body of evidence, with the breathing technique, which puts you in a position to succeed. Your voice changes as it relates to the calm, confident demeanor, and all of that takes legitimately 16 seconds.
Wow. I felt calmer after doing the 16 seconds.
Right.
Now we have to find something that was good that I did.
And as I said, you've done a million things. I could give you 50 just based on my observations. But it's this, the fun part is this is where people overthink this. Oh, no, I didn't do it. No, it's don't. You've done something cool. You've done something to help someone. You've done someone to make somebody feel good. You've done something that you were proud of. Just pick it.
Okay, so we picked that. We picked the idea.
And put them together. Just
Now
literally put them together as you're breathing.
So the 16 seconds. So let's repeat what we just told everybody, because
Sure.
I already forget what the 16
Here, I'll add the steps for you, right? So
let's do it again.
Do the breathing technique one more time. So folks and Maria, everybody, you're going to inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Deep exhale for 4 more seconds. Hold that for 4 seconds. Add a thought of something you've done good in your life, and you're done. And you're done. And so your mood, in my experience and the science is, your mood changes. You shift out of that. My next call. That's what I want to get people out of. Because we're all busy, we're all hurried, but the person on the other end of the phone doesn't know what your last hour was, doesn't know that we've been banging out calls for an hour, all excited. They don't know that. And what they hear is something false. And so what I'm trying to get is the real authenticity of someone so that you can be properly engaged with who you're speaking with without overthinking it or overcomplicating it.
Okay, so we have that down now.
Yep.
So now, what are some next things that we can do so that our message gets communicated better?
Right. So you and I were talking about something before, and I want to go right to that, which I love, which is something as simple as always speak to people, not at people. It's one of my favorites, and it's simple, right? So often, and this especially if you're on Zoom, StreamYard, Riverside, just whatever your platform of choice happens to be, you're speaking pretty much by yourself to yourself. And you're like, no, I'm speaking to the audience, or I'm speaking to my LinkedIn. No, you're speaking alone. What happens, you get distracted because you're just talking. And people can feel that disconnect, right? So it will manifest itself physically. And I'm going to do it like exaggerate an example where it's like physically you see people like almost like forgetting that they're having a conversation. So one of the things that I preach, call it my game day physicality. So no one's going to look at me as an athlete, but what I realize is your basic physicality can get you in a better place to sound more true and right. So as I said, the actual technique is talk to people, not at people. So the physicality is as easy as, like, for me today, making sure I'm sitting up straight, making sure my shoulders are back, making sure that there is a good flow of air from my vocal cords, vocal folds, my larynx coming through, like, right. And not to over geek it out with science, but more the sense that it's like, you want to make sure that people are hearing all of you. For me, I get a fuller sounding voice. And what does it do? It sometimes manifests itself in confidence, in engagement, in a sense of warmth. And so what does that do for your audience, whether it's a client, potential client? They feel more connected, fewer distractions. So what is the actual tip? Literally, get your body in the game without overcomplicating. If you happen to be sitting, make sure you're sitting up straight. Nothing overly exaggerated. Make sure you're sitting up straight. Make sure your shoulders are back a little bit. Put the damn smile on your face. Just right. Let them hear that. More importantly, let them feel that. And it doesn't make you sound less professional. It doesn't make you sound like some sort of a announcer. It's none of those things. It's just to get the most authentic version of you out. So, as I said, virtual call, Zoom call, conference call, on a telephone, speaking to a group of people. It's easier to talk to someone when you're physically in the game, as opposed to staring at a camera lens or staring out the window. Or it's human nature. So there's no fault in this. It's just a matter of pivoting to make it work. Okay. Which to me is something you can do immediately and all the time. You're making a series of phone calls, right? Make sure if you're standing and walking, wonderful, but focus, because again, you need to be speaking to someone. And here's tip number 3 that I'll throw to you as well too. This is a virtual hack. Same idea, where you're talking to your LinkedIn base, you're talking to your, Facebook base and your YouTube if you're on whatever platform. So technically you're speaking to nobody unless you have a guest. When you're doing these solo, think of 3 things. Who are you speaking to? Specifically, who are you speaking to? Imagine a person that you are talking to.
So we want to say, we'll call that an avatar.
An avatar, but more specific. An avatar is a type. I want to go one step further and actually identify a specific individual.
So thinking of somebody we actually know and pretending that we're speaking to them.
Yep.
So, for example, I do all these videos, as you know, John.
Multiple times a day. And I watch them and I think they're fabulous.
I then should say, if I'm thinking, I'm talking to, say, we'll use this example, a real estate agent. So perhaps I then start to think about somebody in my company, and I pretend I'm talking to Young or Tanya or Ian.
Yep.
And this message is directed directly to them.
Absolutely.
Now, we talked about this when you were here last Friday.
Right.
But I forgot. Or in my own defense, I was sick Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I think you're doing great. I've been watching every day since then. I'm seeing
sick with
and by the way, I didn't know that, but people were saying, I hope you're feeling better, and something about soup. So I started to do the math and figure out, okay, Maria is not feeling well. I think you're doing absolutely great.
Sinus infection.
I'm really sorry to hear that. But here's the thing. When you are speaking to someone with a sinus infection, which is very real, so obviously if you're speaking to someone you know well, they're very forgiving, typically, right? I mean, like whether it's somebody you know, they're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, and let it go. If you're speaking to someone that you don't know well, you're certainly not going to start the conversation with your sinus infection, or you're just going to try to power through. And my thought is you can help yourself by putting yourself, like, for instance, the physicality could help, because you got to make the calls anyway. You got to move on. And it's like, okay, so those 3 steps, happy to repeat these. I work backwards in the sense that I've got a message to convey. Okay. Who specifically might want to hear that? Oh, all right. Like you brought up, like a fellow listing agent. Oh, okay. I'll make up a name, Tanya. Oh, this might benefit Tanya. Again, all of these are tweaks. You don't have to overthink it. It's not acting 202, but it's more, I got this message. She'd like that. That would help her. Great. You're already 2/3 of the way home. Number 3, literally, where are you when you're talking to her? Where are you? If you have the great good fortune of sitting there with her, well, then that's easy. But if you don't, imagine, are you in your office? Are you in your conference room? Are you at the coffee shop across the street? Are you at her home? Doesn't matter. It just has to feel true to you, because all of this is making sure that they're hearing you without distractions, and you're not just talking at. And people do that, and that's fine. You might be able to get away with it. What I'm saying is you never know when that big situation is going to break. So why not optimize every communication when it's relatively easy? So I'll repeat those 3 steps. Who are you talking to? Specifically, more than an avatar. An avatar is a type. Who are you speaking to? Number 2, Where are you? Number 3, why would it matter to them? And then the magic words, as my coach Kelly McGee taught to me, and I think she's one of the coolest people in the world. Voiceover coach, voiceover talent, she's brilliant. And then she's like, so go talk to them. And that's it. You don't have to be giving speeches or sound like X, but all of this is to get the most true, authentic version of you when you're speaking. So all of that warmth, all of that sense of knowledge, compassion, talent, driving force, all manifests itself in the situation. And it's, as I said, when you're on the telephone, it's tough. When you are on a virtual, it's still tough because, again, you're talking to my audience, my fan base, my LinkedIn pals, whoever happens to be checking in. And then you risk getting anyone gets a little bit lost. Because this is it. You're talking to a screen, you're talking to the camera lens, you know what I mean? And you're just speaking. I'd rather you talk to somebody.
It makes a great deal of sense.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, identifying where you are when you talk with them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can envision
Mm-hmm.
that. Now, I'm going to take this a step further.
Sure.
What do you think about envisioning what the outcome of this would be?
I love it. As long as you keep it, I think it's actually brilliant. And I also believe, too, make it somewhat realistic. Make it somewhat realistic to the situation. That's all.
So we'll use something very simple.
Yeah.
So calling either a database, let's just say expired listing. So
Perfect.
we're calling an expired listing.
Right.
What is the outcome that we want? The outcome that we want is an appointment to get the listing, right? So perhaps now in this case, we are talking to another human on the phone. Hopefully it's the seller.
Yeah.
Are there ways, John, where within our voice that we can use certain, I don't know if strategy is the right word, but making our voice sound like people want to hear more from you. Right? Yeah. Or I could talk like this and be like that.
Exactly. And I love that. And so then you would sound like a lot of people that are speaking at people. You know what I mean? Where it's like you want to be at a point where picture if you've had the good fortune like you have, if I've been lucky that based in my profession, I've had a lot of successful business meetings in my career. I'm very grateful. I don't take that for granted. So I don't have to stretch far in order to think of a successful outcome to a business meeting. That's one of the lucky parts, right? People treated me well. One of the things that they said about me and still do, which is I am wildly appreciative of, which is I'm always coming with something that matters. I don't repeat a lot. I don't. And so that's what I'm doing. Now I'll add, how am I doing it? Which is always I'm coming from, and my voice replicates that, from I want to help. Here's what I thought would help. This is the way. Literally, when you speak and you're coming from a point of contribution or service, rather than I got to close this listing and I got to, there's a big difference, but it's not a big shift.
It's subtle, right?
It's subtle. And it doesn't mean, oh, it's hard subtle. It's just a minor tweak. Like, it doesn't mean I can't command a room if I am not talking. I have a naturally loud voice. So sometimes I have to watch and dial it back. That's just me, right? Oh, I love that. I know. I think you heard me once from my car with the top down years and years ago when I think I was talking to myself, and you could hear me in the middle of the street. But whatever. What I'm going to say is I've learned I can command a room speaking in front of an audience where I don't have to be overly announcery. In fact, don't. Folks, nobody wants to be told what to do. The old adage, They want to be shown what to do. They want to be, you know what I mean? They want to be brought along, but they don't want to be talked at and talk. I need you to. So how do you move your voice? Come from a point of contribution. Just literally think, how is this helping someone? Oh, I brought this to you today rather than the donuts and coffee. I brought you these cups. I brought you the market data. I brought you this information because I thought you would like it. Because when we were talking about blah, 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 your voice naturally softens. And soft is not weak. That's a big deal to me. Soft is not weak. You want to engage people so that they want to do things. And so what's the tip? Come from a point of contribution in your mind. Not, okay, now it's time to close the deal.
So one of the things, John, that I think about when I'm calling people, especially mostly people that I don't know,
right,
is my mindset is I have to get to them. I have to get to them so that I make sure that they get sold this time around and they don't end up in another bad situation where the property's not sold because it's not marketed properly. Pictures are terrible, description's horrible, can't get access, all these things. And that was my mindset. It goes back to mindset. In 2007, 8, 9, 10, and I said,
they were brutal. I mean, like I said, when you were literally swimming upstream.
And that was the mindset that I had. So that I needed to get to these sellers before they got another agent that wasn't able to help them. And, you know, a big part of it is that either you're a listing broker or you're a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
And most are buyer's agents, as we're well aware, which is fine. But if you don't have a process and a system down for being a listing broker, it really is difficult to maneuver all of the things that we have to do. And it does take more than, you know, generally one person. One person can't do 9 different jobs. So I'm using that as an example where, and I believe the same thing today. And so I think we have to go back also, John, what do you think, to mindset? And what is it that you believe? True.
Thank you. So first off, there was a ton of things. I'm going to break off 3 of them. Let's go to the last one first when you brought up mindset. That's one of the 4 pillars that I coach. I've curated a specific blueprint training program of all of this. And one of the 4 pillars is mindset, $1 million mindset, I call it. You have to. This is play the long game with mindset and then use the tips in the short term to help you situationally. That's always the case. So do the work, do the preparation, do the meditation, do all of it. You have to, because you want to envision the outcomes. And then when you're on the phone, you want to sound confident. You don't want to sound bossy. It doesn't mean you have to talk in a whisper. You don't. When people are naturally engaged, think about like at a restaurant and tables of people, and the way that if you can tell the difference in terms of people that are engaged, literally, and I don't mean married, I mean, but, you know, just that sense that they're in it. You can take the lead, and people will want you to take the lead because they feel the confidence, not they feel the urgency. That's from them. I feel like what you can instill is the confidence of someone realizing with the mindset you're bringing that, oh, she gets it. She gets it. And when you're coming from contribution, the way it sounds in your voice, someone's looking out for me. Okay, so she gets it and she's looking out for me. I'll go back to one more point. When you said, well, I need to get the appointment because, and this was the part that I thought was magic, and this is where your voice changed, where it was like, because I don't want them to find one more realtor with the bad pictures or inability to handle this. So there's a reason why you're calling that doesn't have to do with you getting the listing. And I used my voice very intentionally there. Like, I get the, it's like, there's a difference, but you're like, hey, I don't want to see you run into a situation where you get jammed up again, and 3 months later or 6 months later, you're still sitting here. I want to do this because I want to help you move through this. Your voice will never let you down when you're coming from contribution or service. It will never let you down. It will never deceive the other person because it's real. That's what like I said, with the podcast and everything I do, the art to authenticity, it's how real can you be in the situation? And more than just words like focus, and forgive me for saying focus and avatar and generalities, I talk in specifics because I really believe with like a few tweaks or hacks without coming off, like I said, geeky science, that it's you can literally shift that people want to hear more from you. And then you use the content, you use the strategies, you use your expertise, but you're positioning everything that people hear that is like, oh, she gets it. She wants to help me. And then they do their own math. And I need to do something here. So I'm going to go work with you. I'm going to give you the listing. I'm going to give you at least the appointment. And that's all I'm trying to convey, which is those shifts are powerful. Because then you can rely on your talent, expertise, your homework, your diligence, your strength in the market. But you've got to get there. And this is anybody. This is in real estate. It's in communications. I'm still an active member of the Philly Ag Club. I just learned a bunch of stuff. One of the things that I've realized is...
I saw you were there yesterday.
I was literally Thursday, 2 days ago. I was there. I posted on Friday. Great, good eye, Maria, to follow the dates. Thank you. But yeah. And what I want to do, and this is what I would share with everyone, which is I've got a ton of experience and a ton of successful experience, but I don't want to just rely on old war stories. You know, like to me, everything is revved into now as we're approaching 2024. So I want to be able to leverage the experience that I've had from me, the coaches, mentors, bosses, colleagues, clients that I've had, and bring it home into 2024 so that we are not just relying on AI and the technology. They need to hear you. They need to hear you at your authentic best in each situation. And when you do, you will be able to optimize your communications.
Isn't that what it's all about?
It's absolutely.
So I look at it like, what can I do to get better today?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get focus on just every day getting a tiny bit better, let's say 1%, but not even, maybe it's not 1%, maybe it's a 0.5%. Can I do today to move the needle forward?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that somebody is not used to, let's just say this, they haven't done video.
Right.
And we know video works. Here we are.
Yep.
So what are some pointers, a couple quick tips before we wrap up today?
I got you.
That somebody can use who's never done video before, but that they truly do want to do it. They don't know really where to start. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Oh my God. First thought that ran to my mind is this. So first of all, pick up your phone, turn it around, turn the lens around, shoot something, post it. Here's the biggest suggestion I can make. Nobody is measured in your social media content on one video. Don't overcomplicate it, number one. And number two, do not put that kind of pressure on yourself. So, okay, I hated that video. Mine were 7 hours long when I first started doing them, right? I can't even look at them now. And I'm too lazy to go back and delete all of them. So I'm like, oh my God, I could put these on YouTube. They're so long but use this as a suggestion. And this was one of my production people that I've worked with, and I love him to death. Ian A. Harrington, love the guy, brilliant. Literally says, John, one thought, one video. One thought, one video. Well, I'd like to talk about listings and then expired and then FISBOs, way too much. One thought, one video. One thought. So it's like, what's one thing that you could say today? You haven't been doing video. What's one thing? Knowing you can post again later today. You could post again tomorrow. You can post 75 times today. What's one thing that's on your mind that matters? Take that one thing, easy, and pick any of them. I don't care. Pick anything. I suggest good lighting. I'm a big believer in find the lens and don't get off of it. So in an exaggerated form, if you're using your computer or your phone, don't look at the lens always to give the illusion that you're talking to people. Number one topic. That's it. One. Don't worry. Shorter the better in the beginning. Know that you can do more. 3, use the thing that I suggested before. Who are you talking to? Where are you when the two of you are talking? And why does it matter to them? If you did those 3 simple things, you would be on your way. And then come back tomorrow. And like you said, maybe we're a 0.5% better. I still am looking to improve. I don't want to ever stop improving. So to me, my whole goal is that I'm also optimizing my communications. My videos are shorter, they're tighter. Not because I'm all that, because I've listened to people. That's what I coach, right? So those 3 things, grab your phone, it's easy. Find the lens, stare at it. One thought, one video. End it, post it, see you tomorrow with your next video. And lastly, who you're talking to, why, where are you, and why does it matter?
Love it. That's great, John. Thank you for that.
Oh,
One
thank
thing,
you. Yeah.
one thing that I will mention is I look back to last year in the memories on Facebook, and I watched videos that I did last year. And I show Clarice as well. And we were like, oh my God, I actually sound different. My voice is different.
Yep. I agree, by the way.
Very interesting.
What changed in your mind? Why do you think that's so?
So I've been doing a video every day since June 18th. We're in December now. So that's almost, it's July?
Well,
July,
September, October, November, we're more than 5 months in.
6, yeah. Okay. So that's how many
150
videos?
days.
150 videos?
Right.
150 videos plus
Wow.
Saturday plus podcast.
Yep.
And I think what has happened is because I've done so many in a short amount of time,
Right.
that I started to have more control over my voice, not such a highs and lows. And I learned to not continue to speak with my hands flinging all over the place.
Right.
Also, generally speaking into the camera, I usually just stare at myself. I'm not usually staring at the little blue dot, or I look at you.
Yeah.
And before, I would be like, looking,
sure.
I don't know what I was looking at. I think I would be staring.
Human nature. And I think the best thing about all of that is that your specificity as to why you're talking and who you're speaking with. And I think you just demonstrated to me, because you wouldn't do that if you were in a room with somebody. You just wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? You just don't. You're talking to somebody. And all of this is just to replicate. This is a cold platform in its raw form. Right? It's video and nobody's there and you're just speaking and I don't even know if anybody's listening. So then you work your mind against yourself. But it's as you keep bringing yourself in, that to me makes all the difference. And by the way, you just said the magic words, which is for someone here who hasn't done it yet. When you said, and you know that video works, it does. Just the practice and the repetition. Don't sweat a year ago or June 18th, or don't sweat it. This is building you to this point. So follow what people are sharing. Pay attention. If people can help you, let them.
I think that
practice.
I think people need to understand that we're not professional.
Not hardly.
I'm not a professional newscaster or
I'm not.
actress. However, since 2020, now I did video before that, but let's just go back to pandemic, because that's when I started to go live and do the podcast.
Yep.
Okay, I look back at some of these and I'm like, it hurts. However, I've done over 900 probably pieces of content,
Mhm.
and I didn't get better until I kept doing it. It's just like
Mhm.
whether you play basketball or football, any kind of sport. How many times
Mhm.
do they drill the ball? How many times do they
Mhm.
run down the field? How many times are
Right.
they passing the
Mhm.
ball? And that's why when Jalen Hurts can jump up in the air, grab a ball, or
Mhm.
he's not running, he's running the ball.
Oh,
Sorry,
he is. He ran the game
running the
last
ball,
Sunday, running
right?
27 yards, right?
Yeah, when he can't, there's the team members not there. He just takes the ball and runs with it,
Mhm.
which is I love. I love that.
Right.
But you're not able to perform at that level
Mhm.
unless you have practiced over and
Mhm.
over and over and over and over. We can go over thousands and thousands, hundreds, probably 100,000. Who knows? A lot, right? It's the only way to master something is to continuously to do it. And in the environment that we live in,
Mhm.
everybody wants a shortcut and a shiny object.
Mhm.
And it doesn't exist. You
Yeah.
have to do the work yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
I had to do this work myself. Nobody could do it for me. Nobody could do it for me.
You're showing up on a Saturday morning and doing this. So it's like, and you could be doing a myriad of other things, but you're doing the work. And that to me speaks volumes in regards to the amount that you care about the profession, about the company, about the brokerage, about the brand, about all of that, about who you're speaking to and why you're speaking to them, because you're literally doing the work Saturday morning, 10:40. And I again, that's an incredible statement. I would say this. I'll add one more thing because you just said it perfectly. The only other thing I would add is, and then forgive yourself. Who cares what your videos on June 18th? Like I told you, I have a million quirks. I couldn't stand the sound of my voice. That's why I pushed back for 26 years when people, when I was on the sales side, were saying, you should, or are you in radio? No, no. I couldn't listen to myself. I never fathom. I don't like my looks. I don't like the way my face moves. I could sit and literally beat myself up
I
for
think,
sure.
John, I think it's something also to say is that we have to learn to love ourselves, right?
Mhm.
So through the journey of
Mhm.
doing videos,
Yeah.
I learned to love who I am.
Mhm.
I know who I am,
Mhm.
good, bad, or indifferent.
Mhm.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Mhm.
And my goal is to be in contribution,
Mhm.
to give back to the community as much as I
Mhm.
can, to leave something,
Mhm.
right? To leave a print,
Mhm.
to hope to make somebody's life a little bit better, somebody
Yeah.
that needs to hear this today.
Yeah. Exactly. And I love that. And I honor you. I acknowledge you and honor you for all of that. And my mission with the podcast, with the coaching, with the speaking, with all of that is one thing, which is if I can get somebody to a point faster, bang their head less, with a more confidence and security than it took me to get there, with all of my quirks and worries, and I'm this and closeted that, and all of that baggage. If I can get you there faster, well, then I've done my job. Because I'd rather see people get to the finish line, be able to speak with confidence and clarity, not doubt themselves or beat themselves up. That's what, like, my mission. If I can get you there faster, then I'm doing something, which is like the whole point, you know?
It is the whole point. John, this has been great. Learned a
You're
bunch of
wonderful.
things today. Thank you very much for your time, valuable insight. If people want to learn more about what you do, how do they reach you?
Easy way to get to me, the easiest is my website is duffinmedia.com, where all my contact information, all my social profiles. So one more time, no dots, dashes. It is duffinmedia.com, where you find all my contact information, all my social stuff, my podcast, my coaching, blah, blah, blah. That's where you find me.
Awesome, John. Thank you today. It was a great Q&A, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Oh my God. Thanks so much, Maria. I'm honored. That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you all.